You're listening to Death of the Reader. This is Herds and Cam. And we're reading It Takes a Town by Aoife Clifford, chapters 25 to the end of the novel. So it is full spoilers from here on out. Cam, I just want to say I absolutely love the way that this novel ends up. I've thoroughly enjoyed our time with it. Mer is the best character, followed closely by Danny. Look, I love my unexpected heroes, and this novel gives us plenty of them, which is really cool.
Yeah. I think a lot of the characters who get looked down upon get their day in the sun in this novel, and I really, really like that. I think it was excellent.
So we have quite an escalation in this stretch of chapters, because we've been following kind of two parallel investigations, right? We've been following the murder of Vanessa Walton, child celebrity of the town of Welcome, but we've also been following the kidnapping of Jazz Langridge, whom her parents don't want to open a public investigation into. And they keep saying, she's probably fine. This is just one of her publicity stunts. And they were right. But also, Jazz has, of course, been working hand in hand with local drug dealer Lennox Rivet, who takes the fake disappearance and turns it into a real kidnapping, which is pretty messed up.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool escalation for the whole situation in that novel. I will say I really enjoyed that the tension was ratcheted up a bit. I was quite happy to go along with the story as those two investigations were going on. There was a bit of tension, there was a bit of intrigue, what the hell's Jazz doing? Who killed Vanessa Walton? But I think the escalation for the last stretch to the finish line of this novel was very welcome.
This B plot here, where we're following the kidnapping plot, culminates in, as you say, a redemption arc for some of the characters that so far have been treated with some disdain by the characters around them, that being Jazz, Billy, the policeman, and of course, everyone's favorite character, Mer. They all end up in a situation where Lennox has got Jazz and Mer in the back of his truck, and Billy runs on the scene, and he's looking for a fight because he's been taken off the Vanessa case, which is wild. But yeah, all these three characters in this showdown with Lennox, they kind of have their redemption arc, right? We get to see Billy take a stand to protect someone when he so far has been pretty ineffective as a policeman, even with his moments of genius. And Mer, who so far we've been fixating on her drunkenness, her older days as a swimmer, but then her left shoulder gave way, so she can't do that no more. And in this final scene for her, her arc here, Lennox tries to drown her with alcohol, and then she beats the crap out of him with her one good arm. And it's such a perfect way to wrap together her weakness and turn it into a strength.
Yeah, it's a really powerful image that Aoife Clifford has painted with Mer standing over a wounded Billy and beats the crap out of Lennox with the half-empty bourbon bottle, with a bad shoulder dangling but a right arm still perfectly capable of delivering that final blow.
And shoots Billy, which is wild. I didn't think we get to the point where we get people shot, considering the kind of low profile of the actual murder. Someone falls down the stairs, that's not very bloody compared to people getting shot and smashed with bottles.
Yeah, I didn't expect there to be a gun. There had been no gun previously mentioned.
He's a drug dealer. He's got to protect himself.
Look, I may or may not have said some things about Lennox last week that were perhaps misunderstood and misconstrued.
Well, there's no misconstruing him at this point. He's a villain.
No, he's a villainous man.
Yeah, he's our sleeper villain. This is one of those aspects of the story that doesn't quite resolve itself, but Heidi Millett's disappearance is never actually explained. There are a few things in this novel that don't quite get full wrap-ups, which I kind of like. But Heidi is a character who Lennox is nervous when her disappearance is brought up. It's implied that he was involved in her disappearance, but we don't actually know if he's done that, which I like because it leaves us with a town that, even though we've kind of been uncovering many of the secrets, particularly around Frankie and her friends and family, there are still secrets to uncover in this town. The town lives on past the end of the book.
It makes it feel lived in and continues to be lived in. It feels real. It's not like a construct for the sake of the book.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I enjoyed reading her little afterword using elements of, I think it was Bathurst, again, like she did in her previous book, to flesh out the tongue, which was excellent. So I really like, taking some inspiration from real life places and smattering them across your your fictional setting.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. It's kind of a huge part of this book that, solving a crime isn't as simple as Sherlock Holmes walking into a room and saying, aha, I have noticed all of the clues and here they are for the reader. Or even worse, I have noticed all of the clues and I won't tell you the most important one. Figure it out. In this novel, it's lots of characters have already seen many clues, but they don't want to tell each other because of their own personal drama. And I like that. I'm looking at the passage now. So Frankie actually discusses with Mer, what should I do about my husband? And Mer says, well, you've got the rest of your life to figure out whether to divorce him or not. You don't need to rush into a decision. And I like that Aoife is making a sort of a stand here that you don't have to put a definitive end on every little piece of drama in this book. There are things that can kind of be messy and be real and continue on beyond the letters on the page.
It leaves room for extrapolation from the reader, and I think that gives the world a lot more depth and a lot more nuance that I really enjoy.
I think Danny in particular is my standout in this regard because he is an incredibly adult man-child. Look, I love that it's not Mer that pulls Frankie out of her depressive state. It's her son, because he comes in and says, hey, Mom, I've known about my dad's affair for a while now. Have a Mars bar.
He sort of takes charge.
He does.
Gets very responsible and sort of looks after his mum rather than his mum looking after him, which I think that's a very formative moment in Danny's life. And I think even though it could be, the whole situation can be quite traumatic, I think he's come out the other side of that a stronger person overall.
Sure. Yeah, I think that showing how, again, all these characters who we don't expect to be strong or don't expect to take charge or don't expect to take bullets to the leg or whatever.
No, to the chest.
To the chest.
To the
oh
chest.
My goodness, it was in the chest.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten. Shout out to Billy. What a great guy.
Shout out to Billy.
He's our car guy and he's out there getting shot. I love him. But yeah, like all these characters subverting expectations. It's been there from the start. Carol, our supposed detective, ignoring the murder. I love Aoife Clifford's approach to the subversion of characters in this novel. It's a very lived experience sort of way of portraying them, which I really enjoy.
Yeah. I think also the subversion of expectations, even though we sort of called it from the start, is that Barton, even though he's a bit of a bastard, had absolutely nothing to do with any of it, and was actually just extremely worried about his own career and incriminating himself because he stumbled across some unfortunate scene.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, we'll get into that in the mystery section, but it is really fun watching Barton and Ivan Roland as well being the scapegoats of this story in a sense. But then at the end of the day, they're just afraid. They're just afraid of losing their power. And so they act in these extreme ways in order to protect themselves from a threat that doesn't even really exist. It's not even, they were never under any real danger in a sense, at least.
No, not at all. I do like the ending for Carol. She's now living in the cottage at a very, very, very cheap rent because Lonnie wants to stick it to Barton, which I think is great.
Yeah, no, I love that Carol, after kind of putting everything together and solving it alongside Frankie, she has her quiet ending. She almost ends up in a similar situation to Janet, now that I think about it, with her little house in the town, sipping her tea and probably spying on the neighbors occasionally.
Absolutely. I can definitely see that coming. I like the development of their relationship with Carol becoming more pleased to see Janet, and not just from an informative perspective, but from a friendship perspective. Definitely felt Carol had a lot of grief when she found out that Janet died. And I think she's going to take some of the lessons that Janet taught her into the future as the town's new spider, lurking in the corner with a web of knowledge.
Weaving webs that say, some pig. Alrighty. Well, we will dive into the mystery section in part 3. You're listening to Death of the Reader, talk about It Takes a Town by Aoife Clifford, chapters 25 to the end. And we'll be here with the 5th anniversary special. Take it away, Flex and Herds.
You're listening to Death of the Reader. Surprise, I am here this week, Herds.
He's here. What are you doing in my town?
I flew all the way back home just for Death of the Reader's 5th anniversary episode.
I know you couldn't miss it for the whole world, not for all the murders in Australia. Let's say. Yep.
Yeah, no, I landed here on Thursday.
Yep.
And I've just been recovering from jet lag while you and Cam have been doing the excellent work putting this episode together.
Oh, it's been a great time. Love the work that Cam does. But
yeah, it is our 5th anniversary. We started this show 5 years ago with the first episode of the 3 Taps featuring 2SER's very own Andrew Popel. And here we are, still suffering 5 years later.
less fishing line involved in our murder mysteries. We need to find more murder mystery books that involve fishermen and in related mysteries. But yeah, no, look, it's been a while. It's been 5 years. I don't know how to talk about that stretch of time because, you know, I'm not the oldest man in the world, but 5 years, it's a long time to do the same creative project, the same educational program. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be doing this with you. And we're still going strong.
Yeah, I mean, at some point later this year, it's going to be exciting to drag a special guest through the 3 Taps as a bit of a revisit to past glory.
I'm really looking forward to the reread, yeah.
And we'll have a few episodes of Undead sprinkled in there, talking with some authors about their favorite crime fiction stories. But Herds, I guess the thing that we should do today is a bit of a reflection on the past 5 years is I wanted to know, review season. We've ranked our favorite stories year after year, based on what we would recommend the most. And that now means that we have close to 100 books.
It's wild.
that are stacked up in that list. I need to know, Herds, is Too Many Cooks by Rex Stout still your favorite?
It's probably not. Mostly because of like time and time changing.
The Wolfgang would be so disappointed in you.
It's definitely a novel that I haven't thought about that much, mostly because I haven't read a Rex Stout book. I'm looking at the list right now because I've come prepared, and I feel like out of the things that we covered in the first year, obviously Knives Out, the film by Rian Johnson, has had a sequel now, and I definitely have a greater appreciation for that movie and how it blends like crime, action stories with actual proper murder mysteries.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things is that when we started this show, first of all, we knew nothing. This was very much a learning on the job kind of process for us. True. And it's been amazing, like getting to sit down with, in our first season, people like Solari Gentil, getting to chat with, awesome authors like Simon Brett, Sarah Bailey, Mike Grost was a huge highlight of that first year. And how that has sort of helped us delve our skills, expand our skills into now, being invited to crime fiction festivals because of the support that those people and yourselves have given us, like listening.
Yeah, it's fun, I guess, getting to do a balance of covering sort of older golden age murder mysteries and the modern stuff. And it's such a great opportunity as well now that we are being invited to all of the fancy festivals, drinking tea with all of the greats. I love that we have these opportunities to actually chat with the authors on a regular basis. Solari Gentil, who we've interviewed, I think, just as many times as we've been, as years we've been around. So
that is true.
Yeah. Look, the fact that we have these opportunities to kind of connect with people who mostly know what they're doing is fantastic. And I wouldn't trade it for anything,
Yeah, and I think the other thing, as I was saying, is that when we first started, murder mysteries resurgence was very much this thing that when I spoke to industry professionals about it, they were like, yeah, I can kind of see it, but sure, buddy. Whereas now there are so many cozy, like Thursday Murder Club flavored kind of stories going on. There's so many little tea party style murder mysteries going back on. There's so many weird suspense things kind of to the flavor of Only Murders in the Building. it's just really exciting seeing this field actually flourish in new ways since we started. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that we predicted the resurgence so much as perhaps we were a symptom of it, but it's just so much fun being at like the wave of this thing that's currently at least rolling through the English speaking world.
Look, I'm excited to see more comedy and metafictional texts. If there's anything we can learn from Benjamin Stevenson's work and Slowey Gentil's work, there are even like the niche subgenres of murder mystery have their time in the sun and can become best-selling books.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose I threw you under the bus and asked for your favorite books.
Oh yeah.
I gotta say, Crossing the Lines and The Devotion of Suspect X still definitely up there as like my top two. The Lamplighters still really rings for me, but in a very different way to a lot of the other things that we've covered.
I realize you didn't directly ask what my favorite murder mystery novel was, but to be frank, I don't think I could tell you. Like, I look through these lists and all I see is a lot of fantastic novels that I enjoyed talking about, even the ones that I thought weren't particularly good. Even the ones that I thought, wow, this is stupid and strange, and I don't even know why this is so popular. There's been at least one book like that. I don't know. And that's half the fun, right? Getting to kind of go over novels that have great historical impact, but have aged in a way that maybe is not perfect. Or novels that come out today and you get to chat with the author about, why did you make this strange decision that I would never have made if I were to write a $1 million murder mystery book. I would never write this character in this way or construct or reveal this puzzle so early. Sort of getting to pick apart, now that I have all this knowledge, pick apart the reasoning behind the decisions, even if I don't agree with them, is 90% of the fun.
Yeah, no, we're so thankful for the support of 2SER, especially Anthony Dockrell, who recently left the station, for helping us get off the ground with this program and supporting us all these years through, as well as the rest of the station team and all of the unseen hard work they do to keep this program on air. Massive love to the team.
Shout out to Anthony, who originally approved this show in the first place. I remember.
A huge thank you to you for listening for all these years, whether you've just joined us for this very episode and are confused as to why we're getting so sappy, or whether you've been listening from the 3 taps onwards. Every little bit kind of helps us create these connections in the world that make doing this particular volunteer job so exciting.
Shout out to you, the listener, who has the patience to sit down, listen to me ramble about how much I love a specific genre of fiction.
And to think that this all started with a book that we still cannot mention on this show.
You can't say its name or it'll cry into the ocean. It's
getting dangerously close there.
Look, I don't think I even said, well, I said one of the words.
You said one of the words.
I said one of the forbidden words.
You said one and a half of the words.
You have to see them in sequence. It's only when they are said in sequence.
No. Listen, that's yanking on Faith's chain a little too much there.
Look, I certainly wouldn't speak them words out loud. That would be something.
We all know that the way that this show goes out, Herds, is that we do an 8-part special on this text and then are never heard from ever again.
That's the thing, is that you'll be shocked to learn that I in fact have 8 novels written that each take roughly 100 hours to read through line by line. And we're going to release those in the event of the show's end. And you'll have to figure out what's going on based on those novels. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good time.
Good luck.
More fun stuff through Death of the Readers, kind of 5th year anniversary as we celebrate through 2024. If there's any books you'd like us to revisit with any of your favorite authors or academics, let us know via the contact page on the website to ser.com. And we'll jump back over to Cam and Herds going through It Takes a Town by Aoife Clifford.
Get out of here. It's Flex.
I'm still exhausted. I'm going to fall asleep as soon as I walk out of the studio, and that is not a joke.
Go take a nap on the couch. Let's get back to It Takes a Town by Aoife Clifford. You're listening to 2SER.
I'm going to go take a dirt nap. See ya.
Good luck. Good luck. You'll need it. You're listening to Death of the Reader. This is Herds and Cam. We are talking about It Takes a Turn. It Takes a Turn? It Takes a Town.
Takes a turn.
It takes a... The novel certainly took a turn. It Takes a
yes.
Town by Aoife Clifford, chapters 25 to the end of the story. Full spoilers. Let's get into things. So, Cam, I really enjoyed watching you try to solve this one because you basically nailed it in the first episode, except you did not look at Beth at all.
No.
I love that you were so, like, it was kind of a joke answer I feel like you were going for. But as I asked more and more questions, I feel like you really gained some confidence, you know, being in the hot seat, having all the pressure on your shoulders, diving into the idea of the family connection, of somebody familiarly close to Vanessa doing her in, and you settled on Dolly. I want to know how much that stings knowing that you were so close yet so far.
It burned me, Ben. I read it and I went, God damn it. You know, I always have an instinct and I go, nah, it's this one.
Yeah.
My problem was that I never, ever, ever considered Beth because I felt I had no reason to, and I bought into the whole charade. So, like, hats off, Aoife Clifford, well done.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few scenes involving Beth that are really fun. Last time on the show, you even suggested that she might be having crocodile tears when she talks to the media. And
Yeah,
if you
I
go back
know.
to that scene when they say, oh, do you think that maybe Vanessa might have been murdered? And she breaks into tears. It's not crocodile tears necessarily. I think it's, I mean, up to interpretation, but I think it's just stress for being like, I thought I was done with this, and now they've figured it out. I'm going to be uncovered. She seems so innocent and so vulnerable, but she starts at those dance classes awfully quickly, and she's working on the finance, and she's arguing with people, and it's all indicators that she was not the one who had cancer. It was Vanessa Walton, and it was all this big charade in order to effectively pocket the money from the cancer fundraiser, which is pretty evil.
I mean, it's immoral, yes, but I don't think it's particularly evil, the scheme that they come up with.
I think it's pretty bad. I mean, tricking people into donating to a cancer fundraiser and then taking the money for yourself is pretty evil.
But it was still technically a cancer fundraiser.
You're right. Technically, it was raising money for Vanessa herself, who had cancer.
It was absolutely misguided. I think Vanessa's obviously lost in her own fame.
Yeah.
For some reason, didn't want to put herself forward as the cancer victim.
Yeah, she wanted to maintain her, like, image, right?
Even though that would have made an excellent Women's Weekly front cover, but very immoral the way that they went about it. And then it just devolved from there with Beth taking the money to then just pay bills rather than for Vanessa's treatment, which turns out she was in remission anyway.
Well, I think that's one of those interesting things, I guess, that Vanessa actually told Beth that he'd come back, right?
Yes.
That's something that Beth believed, and that's part of the reason why she felt that she had to kill Vanessa, because she was maybe worried that would lead to the secret coming out if Vanessa was revealed as she had cancer and it's come back, right?
Yes.
And it's kind of that interesting little, again, it's one of those little structural twists with the clues that Aoife likes to play with us, where we hear from Beth the lie that Vanessa told her, that she was getting cancer again, it was coming back. But then after that, after we've heard Beth's real confession, we learn from the autopsy report and from consulting with Vanessa's doctors, we pull up from the dregs from somewhere, that it wasn't coming back. That itself was a lie. So
I'm inclined to believe that Vanessa told Beth that lie and was willing to carry on the charade because she just wanted more money. I think that's been her motivation all along. I mean, obviously money for her cancer treatment, but it's mentioned that Vanessa came back to Welcome completely broke. And so she's been running all these schemes. How much of it was raising money for a treatment and how much was it for raising money for herself? She just wanted more money.
Or for the Dance Academy as well.
Or for the Dance Academy, yes.
And that's the thing. That is actually what's like quite interesting there, is attempting to puzzle out Vanessa's true reasons for concocting this whole scheme and trying to get all the money, whether it was for herself or to support her family or for the Dance Academy, or just to pay for the cancer treatment, because that was something that you actually talked about last week, that maybe Vanessa wanted the money to deal with her drug problem, as evidenced by the collapsed vein. But as we know now,
I'm such a sucker.
Well, yeah, but like that's also it's a valid reason, right? The drug problem, replace the word drug with cancer.
Exactly.
That also fits the problem, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're almost identical in their presentation. And our resident expert in the novel, Carol, even makes that assumption immediately and is fooled, quite like I was, into believing that Vanessa had a drug problem. But she had a problem that required money to funnel into, just not the one that we expected, which I think was well obfuscated. Man, I was right there. I was right there. I think I would like to, with your permission, sir, to explain my logic. Then you can perhaps give me 0 points, I suppose.
Well, you're getting at least 1 point
Yes.
because you did provide multiple answers. So that goes to the away team. I can't imagine that they're winning, but you know, you can get 1 point for the away team.
And I heard in the end of the previous book that you were going to find some way to absorb my points anyway. So
I would love to if that's what we're doing here.
it's all frivolous.
No, I think, look, it's only 1 point. I think you can have this 1 point. Look, I'll just say I don't think that I will give you any other points, if only because, like, your Dolly answer actually had some legs, but I seem to recall at the very final moments when I was pressuring you, you flipped to Joe. You flipped to accusing Joe, which was foolish.
I did. And I would like to address the jury on that particular matter.
Please tell me how you're feeling.
My only problem with the Dolly theory was that I hadn't heard from Dolly enough. She hadn't really done much except for in the beginning of the first third of the book, where she was speaking a lot to Beth, speaking a lot to Frankie, I think, or just around generally at the wake from after Vanessa's funeral. And she was a bit of a nasty piece of work then. And I did a Barton Langridge and I scapegoated her.
Well, she's a bit of a. I gotta keep this language PG. She's a bit of a bad woman.
She's a piece of work. She's a real piece of work. And
she keeps complaining about people, especially money. And like, she's clearly stressed about everything that's going on with the failing of the dance academy and Vanessa's death. But she's clearly just lashing out at everybody, right?
Yeah.
Especially Beth, who is a very sympathetic character.
Very sympathetic.
What with the cancer and all.
Yeah, look, I had in my head to follow the money, and I thought, who is most associated with money at the moment, and it's Dolly. And her motive was that, you know, she found out that money obviously I thought her motive was money was being siphoned out by Vanessa, and she wanted to stop that. And so that was my theory. But during the second third of the book, she wasn't present at all. So I thought, that's feeling a little bit flimsy now. And I saw the whole subplot with Joe and his infidelity. And I'm thinking, man, that looks pretty juicy. And I had it as my secondary. And then when you pushed me on it, I released my familial theory and went to Joe because it felt more concrete at the time.
Well, on that note, I suppose I should give you your redemption arc. Flex will not be returning just yet. So, Cam, I have you under my thumb.
Oh, no.
Now that you've gathered one of your 3 points for this week, I figure I'll give you a chance to kind of recuperate your losses.
Oh, excellent.
I've been kind of enjoying our stint into TV and film. That we do that occasionally. We covered the Simpsons murder mystery of Who Shot Mr. Burns earlier in the year, and I discovered during the sort of research process that it's actually inspired by another murder mystery, sort of America-wide manhunt style. Call in and try and pick the killer. It's a whole thing. Point is, we are going to be covering the murder mystery Who Shot JR, which is part of the TV series Dallas, which according to Wikipedia, the solving episode is the second most watched episode in American TV history. But for next week, we're going to be watching A House Divided, which is the 25th and final episode of the 3rd season of Dallas. And Cam, you're going to be solving it. You're going to be solving the mystery of who shot J.R. Ewing?
G.A. Wing. I don't know. I think
J.R. Ewing. Just J.R.'s fine.
J.R. Who shot J.R.?
Who shot J.R. is the colloquial name.
I appreciate the opportunity to redeem myself in the eyes of the listeners and in the name of Death of the Reader. I'm very excited. Thank you for this opportunity.
Alrighty. So yeah, for next week, be sure to watch A House Divided, the 25th and final episode of the 3rd season of Dallas. That's it for Death of the Reader. You'll listen to 2SCR 107.3, and I'll see you in the next one.